Had some operator error. So if you were here before, hopefully you'll join again. Sorry about that. It's the way it works. If your paper gets wet like mine has, you can wet it again. It's fine. Alright, so I'm re-wetting this so the colors move around the way I want them to. Oh, and down in here, I'm going to add some green. Eventually have petals, stems, leaves, things. So I like to get it started. So I can come back later with another green or blue or something and have it kind of make sense. Or kind of have it be more interesting than just one solid color. Okay, so I've got another orange pink rose I'm gonna do, and I'm gonna make that one up here. Touch my brush, twirl it, kind of. Leave some whites, let the colors blend. So I'm going to make a bunch of this particular flower color. It's kind of a magenta pink. And I've got several flowers that are the same color. And this is about right. You want to make enough that you're going to be able to finish what you need. If you can look at that in the light. I'm not puddling it up. I've got a pretty decent paint to water mix. You don't want it to be too wet, or you won't see any pigment, and that'll be frustrating. You don't want too dense, or you'll lose the transparency of watercolors. So this particular flower I'm looking at is darker at the edges. So I'm going to lay that in there. I'm trying to be careful, but at the same time, not be entirely careful because I don't want my paintings to look super forced. I want them to feel like they're alive. So by doing it this way, by not being too worried about it, not getting too tied down, to specifics right away, that lets my painting stay more alive, I feel like. I re-wet my paper a few minutes ago. So I can get the watercolor to mix again. When I get further into this, I'm I will use a smaller brush, and then I can add in some more details. I love watercolor because it's cheap, frankly. The paints can last a really, really long time. And I'm broke. Most artists are broke. So I've got some little other kind of flowers in here. I like to have some hints of flowers in some places and some really detailed flowers in other places. These are some kind of, I don't know, could be lavender, could be some kind of, I don't know, snapdragon. I'm kind of mixing the colors up. I try to use similar paints here and there and work throughout the picture because that way the whole thing will kind of speak to each other. You won't feel like you have part of a story here and an entirely different color palette down here. So I create lights and darks and use the same colors and just keep working around. Watercolors are more forgiving than people think. If you dry off your brush like this, I feel like I got too much purple right there. I just wipe it off on my hands, and it's fine. Again, I've got a lot of water on my brush, but not so much that it makes puddles because I do want this to be drying as I go because eventually I'll be adding more details. And if it's still wet, they'll just run together. I make lots of my leaves by touching the tip down, pushing it, pulling it, lifting it back up. Pretty. Cool. So let's see, I'm looking back at my reference picture and I think I'm going to get a smaller brush and I'm going to make this color that I already had. I'm going to add some water to it. So you can see it's puddling up and it's got some color but not a whole ton. And to that I'm going to add some magenta. That way it'll feel like the rest of the painting, but it will also help this particular flower set look unique. So now I've got this. And I'm going to be going around these daisy things. And I also look where I'm going to put my hand. So I don't smear too much. And this particular daisy has some little dots and lines, things around the green center. So I'll start putting those in. This is a leaf up here that's covering part of it, so I'm not going to work there. This one's being hidden by lots of flower petals around it, so it's not going to have tons. This one's kind of a side profile. And sometimes I go into some of the more purple that I have and mix the dots up, because I think that keeps adding more interest to things. If I mix my pinkish and my purplish, that'll make things a little bit darker, so I can go between petals. And I usually have my light coming from above. So I think about that, and I can add a little bit darker color down here. And you can see how it's going into these little crevices that I made earlier, which is kind of fun. It gives it an extra texture, which I like. I don't know what everybody else likes. I tried for years and years to paint what I think everybody likes, and it never works. So now I paint flowers mostly because I like them. And if anybody else does, that's extra great. You keep layering in darks. If you use oils, if you're familiar with those, or acrylics, to some extent, you work dark to light. Although acrylics, you can go a little bit back and forth. Watercolor, you work light to dark. So it makes it nice. You can work general shapes to specific shapes. And just think about when you've looked at flowers, you know, how the petals kind of work. Spend a lot of time looking at flowers. So you can think about how if the sun is coming from above, you'd probably have a nice shadow right there. These could be coming in, bending a little bit. Maybe the tips would be darker, maybe it'd be lighter right in here. And I'm mixing colors as I go too, like I just mix an extra dark purple. Pick it up and move it some of the other places. Sometimes I make horrible choices. But most of the time, after I paint something, if I walk away for a while, then look at it in a little bit and end up liking it more than I did originally. And sometimes I like what I do the first time. It just depends how that day's paintings go. Sort of looking pretty daisy-esque. I might add a few more colors here. I don't know what these are. They're flowers of some sort. Sometimes when I get to this point in a painting, I start feeling like it's just messy and it's not going to come together. But I keep going, and most of the time it works out okay. And at least I've been watercoloring and practicing, right? There's no other way to get better. When I finish paintings, I like to put them up, lean them against something, and walk away for a while, then come back and squint at it from across the room. Sometimes that helps. These roses I have in here are mostly orange, but I like, as I said, to keep the color palette working across the whole thing, so adding just a little of the pinks down in here. Kind of outlining different petals almost. So if I just add a little pink, it'll look like, you know, the painting palette makes sense across the whole thing, but it still has its, you know, unique personality. Alright, so the center of these are just a littlest bit green, so that's not enough paint. Did you see that? It's blobby, and there's hardly any color in there, so try again. More paint to water ratio. There we go. I very much appreciate the comments, you guys. Thank you. It really means a lot. It's such a weird journey trying to be successful as an artist. And kind comments really make a difference. I guess they always do, right? No matter what we do. Oh, oh God. Sorry, that probably made you dizzy. It's my glasses hitting the phone. I'm going to mix up a little, taking what I have, and I'm going to add just a little more purple, a little more blue to it, so I can add just a little bit more to the purple flowers. And I want it to be a little bit dark, so I'm going to add a little bit of this color. Maybe some gray. So I'm trying to create something dark now. And I'll probably use this throughout the painting by the end to create some darks. 4,000 years ago when I was in high school, one of my art teachers said that you want to add a lot of darks throughout your picture so that it gives the eye something to move to. It moves your eye kind of around the picture. So I end up doing that usually. If you notice my hands shaking, it's because of medication I take. So that can make it real tricky sometimes. Oh well.